At the end of August 2024, CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, put out this cybersecurity advisory. Iran-based cyber actors are enabling ransomware attacks on U.S. organizations. Now, I won't drag you through all of the article, but I think this is a little bit interesting. There are a couple tidbits, some breadcrumbs, and good nuggets to take out of a lot of the TTPs, the tactics, techniques, and procedures that are outlined here. And if I may say, one of my good friends, Mike Haggis, actually pulled out a really neat little nugget that I thought would be worthwhile to share with you. I will include the link to this in the video description. If you're interested, you can dig into a little bit more as to what this report entailed, but I'd like to show you that small tidbit that is probably worth your awareness. Now, I saw Mike tweet about this at the beginning of September, and big shout out to him, by the way, if I may say. Incredible fella, hey, co-host of Atomics on a Friday, one of the maintainers for loldrivers.io alongside the Atomic Red team, so just incredible person putting out sweet cybersecurity education. You should keep up with him if you haven't already. But in the beginning of September, he references this article from CISA, and I wanted to add this to my notes as something sweet to showcase. But hey, who really needs a web shell? If you think back to the Microsoft Exchange exploitation days of Hafnium and all, you saw what were called China Chopper web shells, oftentimes ASPX code or something server side, where any input in via a parameter, HTTP, variable, or argument could then be executed as a command to run locally on the server or system. But turns out there is such a thing as PowerShell web access. Now this is, I believe, featured and only native to Windows servers. Looking back at the article from CISA, they do walk through a little bit of the attack chain, all the different steps of recon, initial access, credential capability, privilege escalation, execution, defense evasion, and command and control. They note, enable servers to use the Windows PowerShell web access feature. Now, this is a feature that is toggled on or off, but I think it's kind of neat. Now, Mike just recently tweeted about this again and brought it back to the surface of my mind, but he works at Splunk, so he put together a super sweet article and write-up to dig into a little bit more of it with Splunk's blog. And big shout out, kudos, credit where credit is due. This is his write-up, PowerShell Web Access, your network's backdoor in plain sight. Because the gimmick here is that PowerShell Web Access is basically a web shell. The equivalent of what you might have seen in previous web shell variations, but it's just pure PowerShell and like an actual Windows feature. His write-up references the very same cybersecurity advisory that was put out by CISA, actually co-published, co-released by the FBI, CISA, and the Department of Defense Cyber Crime Center, which is pretty cool. I used to work there. Anyway, look, here's the thing. Here is PowerShell Web Access. It is a Windows Server feature that was introduced in Windows Server 2012 and acts as a gateway that provides a web-based PowerShell console. It's literally like you might be familiar with GOTY, G-O-T-T-Y, or WETY, W-E-T-T-Y in the Linux world to expose like a prompt, a console, a terminal, just via a web page. And that is exactly this, but for PowerShell. And it's just an actual Windows feature. Browser-based access, platform independence, secure communication where it forces HTTPS, and requires authentication for all connection, remote management tasks. It is, at the end of the day, PowerShell, and it has support for regular Windows authentication. Maybe you're using Active Directory and you've got Kerberos, or just local machine accounts for any access you might want. And best of all, it doesn't look like sketchy ASPX or malicious web shell code. It is a Windows feature, and it can totally be used for nefarious purposes. So the article walks through how you can set up PowerShell web access. They include a couple different PowerShell commands that we will cruise through, even using the old school cmd.exe DISM command line tool, or just walking through with the Server Manager GUI, because it is naturally a Windows feature you can just toggle on and off. Now you, as a system administrator or a nefarious red teamer, penetration tester, or whatever emulating threat actor, you get to add configuration or authorization rules to determine what users can actually access this to access whatever computer, being a gateway into potentially multiple others in the local area network, and then any configuration that might help specify that. So in this video, I'd like to showcase exactly that, PSWA or PowerShell Web Access. I have a Windows Server virtual machine ready for us, just running Windows Server 2022, so I'll go ahead and turn this machine on, and while this is cooking up, please let me take a quick second just to tell you about the sponsor of today's video. Do you ever feel like you need to complete a million tasks at once while the security of your application is resting on your shoulders? That's where our sponsor Snyk comes in. Sneak is your inside helper in the world of application security. With Sneak, you can find and fix vulnerabilities in your code in real time and get the security intelligence and remediation advice that you need without disrupting the development workflow. So get peace of mind with Sneak and sign up for a free account today using my link below, jh.live/sneak. Huge thanks to Sneak for sponsoring this video. Alright, so back in action here, let me log in to my Windows Server 2022. I do have just a local admin account set up with the usual fancy password, capital P @SSW0RD, and with that, we just have a local testbed. I'm not joined to a domain, I'm not doing anything special, this is just a flat classic install of Windows Server 2022. It'll go ahead and get started with the server manager that I don't really need to care about because I think the PowerShell commands are probably the most useful to us, and if you are emulating an adversary, if you are doing any pen testing or red team, you're probably going to have command line access as your way in to start. And Mike Haggis, bless his heart, has streamlined some of the work that we could do to test this. He's prepared a little GitHub gist that has a lot of the PowerShell that we could just use to get this up and running. While the Splunk blog walks through the different ways you can set this up with the Server Manager GUI or with the DISM command, I think we can enable PowerShell web access like an APT by embracing our inner script kiddie and simply copying and pasting all the sweet stuff they have already prepared for us here. With that said, it's probably a good idea to walk through a little bit of the code and get an idea as to what this is all doing. At the very start, we can see a priv check. We're just going to verify if our user is at least working with a current identity that has enough privileges to be an admin. With that, we'll make sure that we can actually install the Windows PowerShell Web Access feature. Super simple. We install Windows feature, given the name, including the management tools, and then we configure IIS. Just an HTTP little web server running for us if it's not already prepared. With that, we'll get that installed, and then we'll configure it with installing the PSWA web application with a test certificate. Bear in mind, this does need to use HTTPS. So even a self-signed certificate or whatever you might end up spinning up, look, you got to end up doing it with a certificate. And this use test certificate argument is nice and easy and something that you could rapidly cruise through in a little sandbox environment, or even when you do this for real, if you do it for real. And then finally, we add a authorization rule for any user with any computer name as the target where they want to go through this gateway. Well, naturally, you will actually use the machine itself that has PSWA enabled on it, and any configuration name. Configurations, I believe, act like sort of different profiles, any other settings or options that you might want to have set for anyone that actually uses this feature. Granted, I don't know if anyone does. It seems very old and deprecated and like legacy. But with that, let's grab all this code and see it in action. So I'm going to be super stupid, copy and paste in a new Windows PowerShell instance that I will run as administrator. Let me just slap this all in, and then it will go ahead and stage and prepare PowerShell web access. Okay, with that all done, look, just for our simple sandbox, let me go ahead and take a look at what my IP address is. Currently, I am 192.168.88.170, and obviously, this could be made public. I'm just experimenting with this in a local virtual machine, but this could be a real legitimate web server that already exposed it to the internet with the host name, with the domain, with whatever. But for our small learning, let's just use the IP address and access this from like an attacker machine. With that said, let me go ahead and get a Kali Linux virtual machine ready for us, and we can go connect to our PowerShell web access that we might have just staged for persistence. I'll log in here, and I'll open up my web browser just simply with Firefox, and now I'll try to navigate to HTTPS, that IP address of the server, and obviously this has a self-signed certificate, so we will get the warning, potential security risk ahead, that is A-OK. We'll accept the risk and continue, and we should be able to see just a flat, usual vanilla IIS server as that has been set up. But the address, the URL, where we need to go to actually access PSWA, our PowerShell web access, is simply /PSWA. That can be configured, I believe. I'm not quite positive on the way how to just yet. Would love to learn a little bit more to it, but as this loads, you can see a very funny looking, pretty old school Windows PowerShell web access that displays as like the top banner Windows Server 2016, despite the fact that I'm using this on Win Server 2022. I'm pretty sure that's hard-coded in, which just makes me laugh. And this is, for lack of a better word, literally a web shell. operating all over HTTPS, so encrypted communication, requiring authentication like legitimate, real, genuine credentials for domain users or local users on that host. And it's kind of funny to me because it's like a web shell. But look, let me try to log in here. Say I were to enter administrator as I know, the password that I know, and with that said, you probably will need to actually know the endpoint that you would be staging and setting up this as a persistence mechanism on. Hey, if you're admin enough to be able to set up this feature, then you probably have already determined the password and credentials. With that said, this is a gateway. So you could actually access other machines in the environment with all of the WinRM, PowerShell remoting stuff. Anyway, we need to enter the computer name. Now, obviously, if we're just trying to connect to this host, maybe we could enter that host name if you happen to know it. We could try the IP address, pasting in what we have. And we also have down below some optional connection settings. If I expand this again, the destination computer credentials, if it is different from the gateway, and then the configuration, sort of like the profile you would expect, authentication type can roll through any of these. I found that default works fine in this environment when I'm not joined to a domain, using SSL, port number, application name, blah, blah, blah. But we can try it with this. However, I should end up getting actually an error. It says the Windows PowerShell web access gateway cannot establish connection to the destination computer, contact the admin, blah, 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 trusted hosts, etc., etc., etc. But this is odd, correct? Because hey, that machine should be what we were trying to connect to and has it all set up as it should have. Now, I found this little idiosyncrasy. I found this peculiar trick where you kind of need to specify the host name alongside a backslash of the user that you want to end up connecting to. And for our local sandbox and testing environment, we could try the IP address because maybe we just don't know the host name. Again, obviously you'd have local admin on this host, so you could probably track that down pretty easily, but that also won't let us in. So if we were to enter the host name, and we could go back and try that, like back in our Windows server, let me take a look at the host name. It's this thing. And we can try to use that as the prefix. Again, this not being joined to a domain. Obviously, you'd include the domain and everything that you would use here, but let's try that. Let me specify the password and then try to log in. Fingers crossed, this will let us through, and it is PowerShell, as you would expect, just totally exposed and given to you in a web page. I could try to move around in the environment, cd /, that will bring me back. I can try to dir, I can ls, I can irm, invoke rest method, maybe try to invoke expression. You could do anything. You can run PowerShell scripts. It is just pure PowerShell, now as a backdoor, totally legitimate, actually real Windows Server feature. Let me note, though, if we actually go back to the login page, let me bring us back in the address bar to where we were. You don't need to actually specify the host name if you do not happen to know that. You can just as well use the period to refer to the local computer, add the username that you would happen to know credentials for, and just enter period as the computer name, and that will bring you in there just as well. Kind of an interesting thing, though, as I try to enter commands and move around and work with this host, if we actually open up the network tab, we can see these as I try to run commands. Let me use a pwd. You'll see us post to PSWA console ASPX execute command being the method there. And there are a couple cookies that are staged as we are logged in. You can actually see the request includes a session key and the command that we run. And then the response is just going to simply be, hey, maybe some of the info that comes back literally actually being every single line that is returned via PowerShell in new objects that include their foreground color, background color, and all the contents and the message that is displayed in each and every line. Kind of funny, and you could totally build a wrapper around this if you really wanted to. Now, looking back at the Splunk blog real quick, they do note all the things that, of course, could be done from this, but it's PowerShell. You could do whatever you want. Credential theft, command execution, data exfiltration, lateral movement, persistent stealth, etc., etc., etc. Obviously, look, it's like a web shell. You could do anything. They walk through some atomic red team or atomic tests that you might be able to do, a lot based off of the CISA advisory that we were referencing just previously. And of course, it does everything you'd expect. Now, I'll be brutally honest here. I don't know yet all the ins and outs that could come from this for detection capabilities. There are obviously a couple logs that you might be able to look through in the Windows Event Viewer. If we actually drill down into the applications and services logs, we can take a look in that. There is a section here under Microsoft Microsoft under Windows, if we explore down into their PowerShell way down below, there is PowerShell Web Access, where you can see some operational logs, and that will at least clue you in as to some of the activity that's happening here and there. There are also some specific notes as to the configuration and settings that will be present in different files that I'll show you in just a moment. Here are some of our earlier ones, though. You can see a session started with the log name Microsoft Windows PowerShell Web Access under that operational here. You can see the administrator has been actually logged in. Starting a session does not really tell you what commands they run, though. As I explore a little bit more here, you don't get to see a lot more access that follows. I'm curious if like PowerShell transcription logging or any other script logging would take a look, but I'd like to honestly leave that as an exercise for the reader or the watcher if you tend to play with this just as well. If you experiment with this quite a bit, just kind of like I had, you might note, though, that the iNet pub location, as you take a look at this, doesn't look like it gives you a whole lot more than regular IIS fluff. You can see IIS start, all the defaults, but actually, you'd want to explore C Windows Web, and that has a folder that's created for PowerShell Web Access. This gives you a little bit more insight with a couple different locations here. There is a data folder that gives you a config capability. We can try to open that with Notepad, and that tells you the authorization rules access, and maybe you could manipulate some of the XML here. It is all just XML. Let me edit this just as well. This actually includes the configuration, so maybe without entering the PowerShell commands, you could create this file as you would like. The www root directory obviously includes all of the actual ASPX, ASX files, and even a web config. That one should be a little bit interesting. Let's take a look at that in Notepad. This actually gives you a little bit more insight as to how this all comes together, including the maximum sessions allowed per user. This could be toggled to whatever you'd like, or some of the default port numbers, anything you might peculiar. You might have also observed, though, when we were looking at this in our web browser, we did see that NUS part of our URL. So that shows us the console.aspx, which we could take a look at. And maybe you could manipulate this to add other OPSEC capability or totally change the display, anything that you would be interested in. At its core, though, the flat functional capability is a web shell. With all that said, this is a pretty simple showcase. PowerShell Web Access, PSWA, literally genuinely a Windows feature that acts like a web shell, PowerShell exposed out on the open internet with an HTTPS service, secure, encrypted, and requires some of the authentication that maybe you, as an offensive security tester, could still grab, use. Hey, you've got local admin on a server, you can spin this up as means of persistence, and you already know the credentials to log in with. Or maybe on the blue team, detection engineering work. Oh, what else can we track down? Could we see some of those logs? Or could we see a little bit more of the access available and exposed now with this PSWA? At the very least, I did want to put this on your radar. Make sure folks are aware of this weird, old school, totally real, legitimate Windows feature, PSWA, the Windows PowerShell Web Access, totally hard coding whatever string Windows Server 2016, no matter what version you're using. So it's just fun to me. But look, please do all those YouTube algorithm things, like, comment, subscribe, links to all the stuff in the video description, along with, please do give some love to our sponsors. They're the way this channel can keep doing what it's doing. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video.